So, you want to get your head around AI product management? Good, because in the next few minutes, we're going to break down the absolute core principles you need to know. Let's dive right in.
I mean, this probably hits home, right? AI is moving so ridiculously fast that most of us feel like we're just trying to keep our heads above water. It feels like you're constantly playing catch up.
But here's the thing, the good news is that the foundational ideas, they're actually way simpler than you might think. So, we're going to cut through all that noise and give you the essential framework you need right now. Let's do this. All right, first things first. This is maybe the most important idea to get right from the start. AI products are just different. They're a whole other animal. This isn't about slapping a cool AI label on a feature. It's a totally fundamental shift in how we have to think about building products. Okay, so think about it like this. Traditional software is, well, it's deterministic. It's predictable. You click a button and you know exactly what's going to happen every single time. But AI products? No way. They're probabilistic. They're all about making educated guesses. Their behavior can change depending on the data, the user, the context, everything. And that means you have to build for that uncertainty. You have to manage expectations for a system that, by its very nature, isn't going to be perfect 100% of the time. And that completely flips the script on the questions a PM needs to ask. It's not enough to just ask, does it work, anymore. That's table stakes. Now, you've got to go so much deeper. You're asking, how well does it actually perform? Who does it work for? And maybe more importantly, who does it not work for? And under what specific conditions does this thing shine? Versus, where does it totally fall apart? So here's the bottom line for you as a PM. Your job is to shape the strategy behind the prediction. Think about Gmail's Smart Reply. That's a perfect example. The PM's job wasn't just, hey, let's build an AI feature. It was deciding what kind of replies to suggest, when is the right moment to show them, and most importantly, why does this actually help the user get through their inbox faster? You're not just managing a feature, you are literally shaping the intelligence of the product. Okay, moving on to principle number 2. And listen up, because this one is huge. It's a classic trap that so many teams fall into. They start building with AI just because it's the new, shiny thing. But the truth? The best products, without exception, always start with a real, painful user problem. So, what kind of problems are we talking about? What's a good fit for AI? Well, start looking for these things. Is your user totally overwhelmed by a sea of information? Is there a process that's just ridiculously slow? Or are you seeing smart people stuck doing the same boring, repetitive tasks again and again? Those are your signals. Let's make this real. Take Airbnb. They didn't just wake up one morning and say, hey, let's build a computer vision model. No, they started with a massive business problem. How on earth do we maintain trust and quality when we have millions of listings? It's a huge scaling challenge. And only then did they ask the right question, could AI actually help us with this? And that specific question led them to the solution, using computer vision to automatically flag photos that might indicate quality issues. See? Problem first, technology second. Always. All right, let's get into principle number 3. Think of this as the recipe for an AI product. There are 3 core ingredients, and you, the PM, need to understand them. And don't sweat it, you don't need to be a data scientist. You just need to know what you're cooking with. Okay, ingredient number 1, data. This is the fuel for your AI. You gotta be asking, where is this data coming from? Is it any good? Is it biased? Because garbage in, garbage out. It's that simple. Bad data means a bad product. Second, you have the model's behavior. You need a gut feel for its accuracy. Like, how often is it right? But also, what happens when it's wrong? What are the real-world consequences? And number 3, and this is the magic part, feedback loops. This is how your product actually learns and gets better the more people use it. So, what's a feedback loop? It's the secret sauce that makes so many AI products feel like magic. You know this already. Think about Spotify. Every single time you hit like on a song, or you skip a track, or you add something to a playlist, you're not just listening to music, you're sending a tiny signal. You're teaching the algorithm. You are actively training Spotify's AI to get better and better at knowing your taste. A great AI PM doesn't just hope this happens. They design these learning loops into the product from day one. And that idea of learning leads us perfectly into our 4th principle. You have to build through iteration. Look, with some software, you can kind of go away into a dark room for 6 months, code like crazy, and come back with a polished product. With AI, forget it. That strategy will fail. It just does not work that way. Yeah, the old way was this big bang V1 launch. You build it all, then release it. In the AI world, the only way to succeed is to start small, incredibly small. Launch a tiny part of a workflow, focus on one super narrow use case. Get it out there, measure how it does, learn from it, and then you expand, step by step. And let me tell you why this is non-negotiable. You can test a model in a nice, clean lab environment all day long, but the second you release it into the wild, into the messy, real world, it's going to do things you never expected. People will use slang you didn't account for. They'll ask it weird, emotional questions. And that's exactly why iteration isn't just, a nice best practice. For an AI PM, iteration is the entire job.
Okay, last one. Principle number 5. You have to measure what truly matters. And yes, of course, all your classic PM metrics, activation, retention, engagement, they're all still super important. But AI adds this whole other layer of metrics you have to be obsessed with if you want to know if your product is actually working.
So on top of the usual stuff, you need to be tracking these 4 things constantly. First, quality. Simple question, hard answer. How good are the predictions really? Second, coverage. What percentage of the time can your model even help? If it only works for 10% of users, that's a problem. Third, risk. When it fails, and it will fail, what's the fallout? Is it a minor annoyance or a major problem? And finally, cost. Because running these models, making these predictions, that costs real money. You can't ignore the inference costs.
And this brings us to a really great rule of thumb. It perfectly sums up the balancing act you're always doing. If your model is super expensive to run, and it's unreliable, then you don't have a product yet. What you have is a very expensive science experiment. So let's just pull all of this together. The real job of an AI PM, it isn't about being the top engineer or the best data scientist on the team. Your job is to be the strategist, the one who figures out how to turn all this raw, powerful intelligence into a real, valuable outcome for a user, and to do it safely, ethically, and by iterating constantly. And there you have it. That's the core framework. Those are the foundational principles of AI product management. So now you have the building blocks. The only question left is, what problem are you going to go solve first?